Hello, my name is Shalonda Santiago, and I'm going to talk to you today about something that should be near and dear to every parent's heart. It's safety. Before we get started, I'll tell you about a little something that happened to me when I was a kid. And it's going to show you the difference of safety perhaps 20 years ago to safety today. Around 20 years ago, when I was a little one, walking around, running around playing, there happened to be this snake in the yard. I didn't know it was a snake at that time. I thought it was just something that resembled a worm. So, I'm a country girl. I put my leg up with, intentions of totally stepping on it. Why, I don't know, but that's what I wanted to do. About midway, as I raised my foot up, I noticed a tongue came out of that worm's mouth. Of course it wasn't a worm, it was a snake. I immediately screamed and my dad came running out. And of course my dad killed it. Now, growing up in the country, some of the only things I had to worry about were snakes, maybe mountain lions, and wild hogs. I didn't have to worry about online predators. 20 years ago, we only had 3 channels. So basically, at midnight, you would see the plane going across the sky and see them singing the song. I didn't have to worry about anything extra because my life consisted of school, sleep, maybe a few hours of TV, but that was it. Today's youth are living in a much different time. These children are watching crazy amounts of TV, and they are constantly online. Rather it's playing a video game, or on Facebook, perhaps it's on Twitter, or it could be them fixing up their Tumblr page. All we know is that right now, children basically are living with the remote, or they're living with their cell phones, but they're living like this, constantly doing something, tabbing constantly. So while all this is going on, where are the parents? I think when we think about safety, we all think about perhaps fire safety. We think about not going to sleep, leaving the doors, locked or unlocked. We think about making sure we have our seatbelts on. But what we don't think about is letting our kids go to the mall unaccompanied by an adult. Because most of us think, well, once they're 16, once they're 17, they can go to the mall alone. They don't have to have anyone with them. Unfortunately, now you have sex traffickers who set people up in malls just for the occasion of reaching out and grabbing a child. You see, it's much easier now for people to grab someone because everybody is doing something. Everybody is immersed in their own little world. So what I want to talk to you about, it's not so much as telling you, be careful, but it's how to look for the signs, how to look out for what's out there. A few months ago, I was introduced to the fake marijuana drug, K2. So, I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't understand about this drug is that it causes seizures. Again, this is a drug that is not detectable, not like marijuana. So a lot of tests that people might do for employment, the children might find an easier time getting a hold to it, but what they don't understand is that it's also causing seizures. So in that whole scheme, it makes it a lot more dangerous than marijuana. But because we're kind of giving kids unquestionable amounts of money, saying, hey, do whatever you want, we really don't know what they're spending, who they're giving it to. My message is to ask questions. Ask, what are you doing? Who are you doing it with? When are you coming home? Don't just let Jenny go on the computer and not walk up behind her. Stand by her side. You don't have to sneak. Hey, who are you talking to? How well do you know this kid? Are you sure it's a kid? I know some of us might think, well, you know, that's getting a little bit too deep into their business. We want them to know that we trust them. I understand that, but you also want them to understand that we are looking out. You're looking out because you do not know what's going to happen. You don't know if that person that your son or daughter is talking to online might have something to do with their disappearance next month. And when I tell you that these people are everywhere, I mean that they are everywhere. About a year ago, I came out with my last book, which is Diversion, Retribution. And the book dealt a lot with sex trafficking. So, for me, it was a hard book to write, but I log everything on my blog. So as I'm going onto my blog, I'm noticing I'm getting a lot of traffic from Russia. I'm getting a lot of traffic from Croatia. I'm getting a lot of traffic from Malaysia. So I go into the websites to see who's accessing my site. And there's some sites that have a lot of sex stuff on them, from girls who look like they could be teenagers. I was terrified. I cut down my blog, basically, took it down so no one could pretty much access it for about 3 to 6 months. I was so afraid that, you know, someone would look at my pictures of my own daughters and try to think of something. But finally I figured out it's not so much about living in fear, but it's about knowing what's out there. So it's very important for you to understand that these people are looking at every single thing we do. Some of them, they may be looking a little bit more. Some of them because maybe we write the material that can spread knowledge, or maybe we go to groups that can hinder their progression. Right now, sex trafficking is very, very lucrative. So just the idea that you're going to cost someone money can shed problems. Now, while yes, sex trafficking is a big, big thing to talk about, we can't get sidetracked by one of the bigger dangers, I think, that are out there right today, which faces so many different people. It's texting and driving. You know, when we went to get our insurance renewed, we talked to the insurance person about adding our daughter to the policy. And he said, well, you know, it's not a question of if she will have a wreck, but it's a question of when will she have a wreck and how bad will the wreck be. Now, that got me to thinking. Although I want my daughter to be able to drive, because I want her to have those privileges, I'm not sure I'm ready for her to have a wreck. I'm not sure I'm ready for her to get out there on the road and maybe kill someone or run into somebody. I don't think she's ready. So I came to the realization that perhaps what I need to do is to teach her a little bit longer. Maybe instead of her getting her driver's license at 16, she'll get them at 17. It's not about saying that you can't do this. It's saying, you know what, I'm going to make sure A, B, and C are taken care of because I want to make sure you're taken care of. And that's basically what you do. You're planning. You're making sure that you are putting that tracker in their phone. Not so that you're trying to be James Bond, but because you want to know if something happens, your daughter does not come home tomorrow night, the next night. on the next night, maybe there's a chance that they can use that tracker to try to find her. Now, there are organizations out there that help with this type of thing. One of the situations that we learned about in the DFW area that involved sex trafficking of a 14-year-old, it was hard to hear, but we knew it was out there. For children, you can always call like UNICEF, or you can call Promise House, which is good for helping runaways. Another thing to think about whenever you're moving into that area, get with your local police department. Talk to them. Find out what type of crimes are in your neighborhood. Also, go on the sites and check out where are the sex trafficking or where are the child predators in the neighborhood. Could be you live down the street from a predator. You would never know. But most importantly, ask those questions. And remember, when it comes to drugs and stuff, it's all about prevention. It's all about prevention. And before we go, there are a few websites that I would like to talk to you about, just to kind of give you an idea of some of the things we talked about, so you can check it out on your own, because they're very important. Now, I think he's in his room playing a video game. This is a very good article because it kind of lets parents understand that a lot of times while we're out doing this or doing that, our kids, we think they may be doing something like video gaming, but again, too much of anything can be a hindrance, and then we never really know. So go on and check that site out. It's written by Dr. Alexa Kane and Barbara Magarello for the Journal of Pediatric Psychology, and the study can be found at http://jpepsy.oxfordjournals.org. And if you want to know the statistics behind where the runaways are and why are they out there, look up why they run. Why we run. Basically, it's from the National Runaway Switchboard. Type in National Runaway Switchboard, and you can find a pretty good idea of the main reason why kids are running away from home and why it's like 48% of the kids who do run away from home, it's because they've actually been kicked out. They didn't run away. They were kicked out. A lot of these kids end up in sexual abuse situations and drug situations. So, thank you. Have a great day. And I'm sorry I went a little over. Goodbye.
Stupid phone.
Did it do it?